Caught between Beijing and freedom, today on The World. I'm Marco Werman. Hong Kong is supposed to be China's freest city, but even there, speaking to a foreign journalist can mean big trouble.
I participated in this interview, man, it's going to go into the record. Collaboration with a foreign power. Okay, that's treason.
Also, waiting in line to get food in Venezuela, no matter what.
I feel like if you're not going to give up your place in line to try to deal with a woman who's collapsed in front of you, how are you going to go out and take to the streets and try to protest and overthrow the government?
Plus, the graffiti conscientious objectors left on the walls of an English castle during World War I.
We have one of the 10 Commandments written on the wall, "Thou shalt not kill."
Those stories coming up today here on The World. We're going to kick things off in Hong Kong today. Hong Kong, semi-autonomous territory, the Chinese mainland, and there is a lot of tension packed into that label, semi-autonomous, because the former British colony is now officially part of China, but its political reality is caught somewhere in between democracy and authoritarianism. That tension was on display today as a top-ranking official from Beijing, Zhang Dezhang, arrived for a, quote, inspection visit in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong is China's freest city, and for the first time, I saw the presence of security authorities prohibiting protesters from actually gathering in the streets.
Nash Jenkins is Time Magazine's correspondent in Hong Kong. He says he's never seen anything like this.
I don't think it's melodramatic to call it a police state. I was not even allowed to enter the designated press zone. I saw student protesters shoved to the ground because they were not in the designated protest zones. The city had employed workers to glue pavement stones to the street to ensure that they wouldn't be thrown as weapons. It was very tense. Clearly, the Hong Kong government wanted to ensure that there was this illusion of peace as Zhang arrived in Hong Kong, but it was really quite shady.
A rapidly materialized police state. It wasn't like that yesterday, I guess. What is the security detail like for Zhang Dezhang? I mean, what is the biggest concern?
One can't help but suspect that the fear of conflict between the authorities and political activists was on the mind of the Hong Kong government as they got ready for this. It was impossible to navigate today. Streets were blocked by police barricades. There are cops stationed on boats in the harbor and on the 45th floor of skyscrapers surveilling the scene. They were really, really meticulously making sure that nothing could have possibly gone wrong. The sense of almost desperate deference to Zhang's presence, which I think is in many ways a metaphor for Hong Kong's relationship with China.
From what you saw, Nash, how angry were demonstrators, even though they couldn't really face the person they wanted to demonstrate in front of? Could they have rioted?
Marco, I think they're frustrated at this point. The protests did not materialize. I would guess, to play armchair psychiatrist, that the protest organizers didn't think the juice was worth the squeeze. That's not to say there isn't potential for major political friction in the streets. It just didn't happen today. But hey, he's in town for 2 more days, so we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Why is Zhang there? I mean, this inspection visit, what does that mean?
I think it's less about what it means and more about what it symbolizes. On paper, it's a run-of-the-mill routine meeting with Hong Kong leaders, checking in on the city, updating Hong Kong leaders on economic policy. But it's symbolic. The Chinese are crazy about symbolism, and this is the first major Chinese party figure to come to Hong Kong since the pro-democracy protests in 2014. And many people in Hong Kong are buying into the symbolism. They're seeing it as the cruelly watchful eye of mainland China encroaching upon the territory.
Just a quick reality check, Nash. Is it completely off the table that China would ever let Hong Kong go its own way? And if, as I suspect the answer is yes, are Hong Kongers subsequently worried about how far the mainland would go to hang on to Hong Kong?
That's a difficult question because you have so many various factors to consider here. The fact remains that Hong Kong relies on mainland China for so much of its raw resources. In so many ways, mainland China has the upper hand. Hong Kong wants to be independent, or Hong Kongers want Hong Kong to be independent because they see their socio-political identity as so fundamentally and existentially distinct from that of mainland China. I think at this point, we're not